We are moving right along. Now, this next one I actually took a glance at earlier, and I'm actually going to slow down again for this one because these can be really tough for folks who have a difficult time constructing both sentences and equations. And again, if you have difficulty constructing sentences, chances are good you're going to have difficulty constructing equations as well. Often it can be something that can lead you to difficulties both in your math class and in your humanities classes. Fact families. So which equations show the same relationship as 48 divided by 6 equals 8? Okay? So I'm just going to focus in on this first. We're not going to look at all the answers because, again, it's going to get confusing if we start looking at the answers right away. What this is saying, when I say 48 divided by 6 equals 8, that is the same thing as saying, as we just said, 6 times 8 equals 48. These two sentences are saying the same thing. Now it says to choose 3 answers, so chances are pretty good they're also going to have 8 times 6 equals 48. Yeah? That should make sense. But also, we've got this other relationship. Because 8 times 6 is 48, we could also do 48 divided by 8, and that would equal 6. All 4 of these equations are saying the exact same thing. And again, this can be a tough one. It can be really tough because if you look away for a moment and then look back at the board, what I just wrote looks like nonsense gibberish. So stick with me. We're going to go ahead and scroll down. 48 divided by 8 equals 6. Yes. 48 equals 8 times 6. Yes. And 6 times 8 equals 48. Yes. Those are the 3 that we came up with, as you can see. Let's do a couple more of these. No worries if you're confused right now. Like, seriously, no worries if you're confused right now. So we've got this tape diagram here, yeah? And it's in 9 equal groups, each of which is 6 units long or whatever. So we could say, hold on. We could say that 6 times 9 equals 54, yeah? If I have 6 in each group and 9 groups, that is 54 objects. However, again, commutative property. So 9 times 6 is also 54. And then there are 2 division statements that we could make. We could say that 54, if you divide it into 9 equal segments, each segment is 6 units. Or we could say, if I have 54 and I divide it into groups that are 6 units large, then there are 9 groups. All 4 of these sentences are saying the same thing. And all 4 of these sentences are sentences. They're not just equations. And I'd really like you to note this sort of inverse pattern that you're seeing here. You see how it's 54 divided by the one thing equals the other thing? Just kind of squirrel that away. Hopefully that'll stew in your head a little bit, and you'll gain some understanding later on that maybe you can't put into words. These things happen sometimes. So there are 2 answers. But also we could just go through and choose the 2 correct sentences, right? 9 divided by 6 is not 54. 54 times 6 is not 9. C and D are the correct answers. 2 down. Let's see, 42 divided by 6 is 7. 6 times 7 is 42. 42 is 7 times 6. Therefore, 6 is 42 divided by 7. I know these problems look silly, but I love them. I love seeing the same equation written different ways, because so much of algebra, and later on in pre-calculus and later on in calculus, so much of it is just making equations look different without actually making them different. They're all saying the same thing, but they all look different. And that's a thing that comes up over and over and over again in algebra. So I really love problems like this. Which equations show the same relationship as 72 equals 9 times 8? Well, that's the same thing as saying that 9 is 72 divided by 8. That's the same thing as saying 8 times 9 is 72. And it's the same thing as saying 72 divided by 9 equals 8. It also just so happens that those are all of the true equations in our options. There are 3 answers. We are good. Which equations could this tape diagram represent? Well, it could mean that 5 times 2 is 10. It could mean that 10 divided by 2 is 5, because that's the same thing. How many answers are we looking for? 2. Let's see. Complete each equation. 8 times 9 is 72, which is the same thing as saying that 72 divided by 9 is 8, which is the same thing as saying that 72 equals 9 times 8, which is once again the same thing as saying 72 divided by 8 is 9. All good, I hope. 5 times 3 is 15 because 15 divided by 5 is 3. Also, 5 is 15 divided by 3. There are 3 answers. 3 times 5 is 15. And that is that. I wasn't sure I'd get this far today. We have 10 minutes left in the stream in general. Let's see here. Divide by, okay, so all of these divide by 5 or 10. These are going to be super duper duper quick. So I think I'm okay stopping where I'm at. We will do relate division to multiplication word problems first thing next week. Then we will do quiz 2. Then we will finish up these sort of one-digit dividing problems are going to go super quick. So we're going to get through intro to division easily next time and probably get even further than that. Where are we at right now? We are 34% of the way through 3rd grade. As promised, it's going to be a little bit slower going because even though we can take each... Hold on, why am I doing this while we're still on Khan Academy? Even though each topic is going to go faster and faster as we have more and more foundational knowledge, I'm not going to stop and do the intricacies of one-digit multiplication going forward, for example. But even though each topic is going to be done more and more quickly, there are going to be more and more of them. And 2nd grade is when things sort of started to accelerate. 3rd grade is going to be more difficult and require more work than 2nd grade. 4th grade will again be more work yet than 3rd, and so on and so forth. Especially once you get into high school where things kind of get a little bit nutty. But don't you worry, because we are absolutely going to cover those levels of math as well. Just because we are talking about 3rd grade math now does not mean we are going to be talking about elementary school math forever. The reason I'm doing this is because I want to make sure that anybody who is using my channel to maybe relearn math, because maybe they didn't learn it the way that it's being taught now when they were kids, I want them to be able to start from the very beginning and not have to make any assumptions whatsoever. So that's why I chose to start at kindergarten. That's why I do this every Monday at 6 p.m. And with that in mind, you can find me on Twitch and Twitter at MathDemigod. You can find me on Instagram at Professor_Cunningham. And you can find the VODs of this very stream cut up into bite-sized chunks for your convenience on my website at professor-cunningham.com. please do visit, please do like and subscribe. It really, really does help, especially when you are as small of a streamer and YouTuber as I am. You don't have to subscribe on Twitch if you don't want to. A simple follow would be very, very useful. Thank you so very much for watching. I will be here next week at 6 p.m. Pacific, and I hope I'll see you then. Take care. Have a good Monday.